Countries around the world are seeing in the new year with scaled-back celebrations as the Omicron variant continues to drive up COVID infections. This was the scene at the ancient Acropolis in Athens. President Biden has approved a disaster declaration in Colorado after entire neighborhoods in two towns north of Denver were engulfed by wildfires on Thursday. Thousands of residents fled and hundreds of homes were destroyed. Coronavirus infections in the UK have reached a record high. Estimates suggest 1 in 30 people tested positive before Christmas. One study suggests the risk of hospitalization with Omicron is about 1/3 that of Delta. And tributes have been paid to the Golden Girls actress Betty White, who has died just weeks before what would have been her 100th birthday.
We start here in Japan, where officials are urging caution over the coronavirus as the nation welcomes the new year. Their calls come as cases of the Omicron variant have been reported in airports and communities in 23 prefectures so far. Community infections of the strain have been detected in 10 of the prefectures. Here in Tokyo, a counseling event was held for people in financial distress. Lawyers offered advice on housing and employment. Rice, fruits, and vegetables were handed out. Organizers say more people are struggling to support themselves as the prolonged pandemic has cost them their jobs or reduced their working hours.
Many local governments are not open during this time of the year. So we held this event to help people, such as those who apply for welfare benefits and those who have problems with housing.
Authorities across Japan confirmed 510 new coronavirus infections on Friday. Tokyo and Osaka reported 78 cases each. Tokyo's figure is double from a week ago. Osaka's tally is up more than 50 from a week ago. Turning now to China, where the city of Xi'an in Shanxi province has been battling an outbreak. All 13 million citizens have been under lockdown since December 23rd. More than 1,200 coronavirus cases have been reported over the past 3 weeks, the highest tally in any Chinese city in 2021. Residents say they've been unable to obtain food and daily necessities. A message posted on Chinese social networking platform Weibo says food is running out. Another criticizes authorities for having not learned anything in the past 2 years since the pandemic started. The government is trying to ease their frustrations by stressing there's no problem with the supply of food and other necessities. And as China struggles to contain the outbreak, officials in the United States and Europe are reporting coronavirus case numbers have reached all-time highs. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says new infections in the country hit a record 486,000 on Wednesday. That's 3 days in a row the daily count has exceeded 400,000. The 7-day average has topped 300,000 for the first time. White House Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci told a U.S. broadcaster the current wave of infections will probably peak by the end of January, given the size of the country and progress in vaccinations. Now, Britain reported almost 190,000 infections on Thursday, also a record high. Italy's daily count topped 100,000 for the first time, while cases in Portugal surged to 28,000. France is at the center of the COVID-19 storm, with a daily tally exceeding 200,000 for the second straight day. Governments in all these countries are racing to vaccinate people as the pandemic shows no signs of receding with the spread of Omicron. A fast-moving wildfire in the U.S. state of Colorado has destroyed hundreds of homes and forced thousands of people to flee. Officials say winds of up to 175 kilometers an hour sparked the fire by toppling power lines and spreading the flames. The grass fire swept into residential areas north of Denver within minutes. It engulfed an estimated 580 homes, a hotel, and a shopping center. It was a scary situation for many residents who had no idea about what was going on. One driver shared this video showing him narrowly avoiding the flames on a highway. The fire prompted officials to order the evacuation of 34,000 people in 2 small cities east of the Rocky Mountains. The state's governor said the flames consumed football fields of land in a matter of seconds.
Very little time to get out. very little time to even get the most important parts of your life. And yes, it'll be a difficult process for Colorado families who are directly affected to rebuild their lives.
At least 7 people were injured. Officials say more injuries and deaths are possible because of the intensity of the flames. The area had been dealing with an extreme drought for months before the fire. U.S. electric car maker Tesla is recalling almost 500,000 vehicles over potential safety problems. It's the company's largest ever recall, and it represents about the same number of vehicles as it sold around the world in 2020. Tesla had filed the recall by Thursday with the U.S. road safety regulator. It affects more than 350,000 Model 3 compact cars and about 120,000 Model S sedans. The model years range from 2014 to 2021. The regulator says a loose latch on the Model S may cause the front hood to open without warning. It also notes repeated use of the trunk in the Model 3 may damage a cable that transmits images from the rear view camera, causing it to fail. The regulator said Tesla is not aware of any accidents or injuries related to the issues. Tesla has not commented on the recall. The safety authority is also investigating reports of a series of crashes related to problems with Tesla's driver assistance system. The technology automatically adjusts the vehicle's speed and position based on traffic conditions. Now, Tesla's CEO has reportedly ended 2021 by selling another $1 billion of his shares in the company. Elon Musk may be using it to pay his taxes. News reports say he's now offloaded shares worth a total of $15.7 billion. That's about 10% of his stake in Tesla. In November, Musk asked his Twitter followers if he should sell 10% of his Tesla shares to pay his tax bills. A majority supported the idea, and he's pushed ahead with it. The move is seen as a response to criticism the rich are not paying their fair share of taxes. But some observers say Musk had been planning the sales for a while. Forbes magazine says his net worth grew more in 2021 than anyone in the world. Next, a warning for New Year travelers here in Japan. Heavy snow is forecast along the Sea of Japan coast, and weather officials are advising people to be prepared for major transport disruption. The Japan Meteorological Agency says a frigid air mass and a winter weather pattern are responsible for the heavy dump of snow across many parts of the country. Niigata, Nagano, and Gunma prefectures have experienced especially intense snowfall. Up to 90 centimeters accumulated in mountainous areas in just 24 hours. The snow is expected to continue coming down through Saturday morning in wider areas between northern and western Japan. Up to 70 centimeters is forecast for Niigata prefecture and the northern part of the Kanto region. Meteorologists are warning of possible snowstorms and high waves, as well as traffic holdups resulting from icy roads, blizzards, and snowdrifts. They're also asking people to watch out for possible avalanches and sliding snow from rooftops.
Good morning, I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. Right now on Morning News Now, celebrate or isolate. A mix of revelry and worry this New Year's Eve. This morning, millions of Americans ready to ring in 2022 amid fears that COVID will crash the party. Some of the biggest celebrations still on, but scaled back with new cases soaring to new record highs.
People here seem to be in a very festive mood, even though we know the numbers are going the wrong way. But, we're trying to mask up and just trying to be positive.
So what'll it be for you? Party or PJs? Stay in or venture out? We've got team coverage with everything you need to know before you make your decision as we enter year 3 of the pandemic here in America. Nightmare before New Year's. Another day of frustration at airports from coast to coast. Hundreds more flights canceled or delayed by COVID or weather, leaving passengers stranded and scrambling to get home before next year. How long this problem could last, plus a new warning from the CDC for those planning on taking a cruise. State of emergency developing overnight, a wind-whipped wildfire raging through Colorado. Hundreds of homes destroyed and thousands forced to evacuate. We'll bring you the latest as crews struggle to contain the fast-moving flames. And you could call it 2021's greatest hits, an end-of-the-year twist to our weekly can't-miss list. We'll look back at some of the many memorable moments in entertainment this year. Good to have you with us on this New Year's Eve day. 2021 is ending much like it began, with a holiday-driven COVID surge. More than 580,000 cases were reported yesterday alone, shattering the record for most new cases for the second day in a row. That's prompting health officials to sound the alarm ahead of New Year's Eve celebrations. Experts are now urging everyone cancel their parties because of the rapid spread of the Omicron variant. Despite that warning, New York City is plowing ahead with its annual Times Square tradition, but in a slightly scaled back form. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio had this to say about the preparations.
It's going to be outdoors, vaccination only, masks required, socially distanced. But we want to show that we're moving forward, and we want to show the world that New York City is fighting our way through this. It's really important to not give up in the face of this.
But New York has once again become the country's COVID epicenter. The state's positivity rate now 22%. That means more than 1 out of every 5 COVID tests coming back positive. Healthcare workers in the state say the system may not be able to handle another post-holiday surge. Traveling this weekend may also prove to be less than ideal. Thousands of flights have already been canceled or delayed today. More are expected beyond this weekend and beyond, leaving passengers stranded and desperate for a way home. We have our team of experts standing by to preview what's in store this New Year's Eve. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard is at LaGuardia Airport with more on the travel chaos. NBC's Kathy Park is in the heart of New York City. But first, I want to bring in Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton. Dr. Hilton is a professor of anesthesiology and critical care medicine. She's also the co-founder and medical director of Goodstock Consulting. So, Doctor, good morning to you. We just heard Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan for New York City's celebrations later today. We also have heard how quickly Omicron is spreading through New York. Are these measures enough to protect anyone celebrating tonight? Big question here. What's your advice for anyone who's maybe planning on doing a New Year's Eve party or some sort of festivities tonight?
Right. I feel like, unfortunately, the mayor is in the stages of grief where we're in denial, and he's not alone. When we're looking at it, to give people a warning, of the persons who were celebrating Christmas last week, there's now been 10,000 Americans who has now died and won't celebrate New Year's Eve. And to take into consideration, what does 580,000 people look like? Well, you can look at the entire populace of Wyoming. That's how many people were diagnosed with COVID-19 yesterday. And said it another way, for every second, 7 people were diagnosed with COVID-19. This is not something that we can say we want to push our way through. We can push our way through and break other records as we have been, as far as the number of cases of COVID-19 that we have, and our hospital systems cannot afford to have breaking of records at this point when we're understaffed. So I ask everyone, stay at home. We can do celebrations when we get time to actually catch up to what COVID-19 is doing. But right now, we have 1,000% increase in cases in Florida. We have New York City with 400% increase in their pediatric hospitalizations. We have outbreaks in Breckenridge and in Aspen, Colorado. So you said a wildfire COVID at there too. In Ohio, we had to call in the National Guard to help with the hospitalizations that are occurring. This is throughout our entire nation. There is no state at this point that has low transmission. So stay home, be safe, wear that N95 mask, not just a mask, and get tested. That's the only thing we're going to be able to do to get through this next wave of Omicron.
All those examples help put everything into perspective. Now, the New York Times says the FDA is planning to authorize Pfizer COVID booster shots for kids 12 to 15 years old within the next couple days. This comes as hospitalization rates among children are rising. Kids are going to return from winter break next week. How much could this help slow the spread of Omicron and protect kids at school?
I mean, at this point, we need to do everything we can to protect children. We have 7.5 million